What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Colecast, July 30th, episode 59. Today, we are joined by maybe the most excited guest we've ever had, and easily impressionable. We're joined by Noah and Kevin Hickman, a father-son duo here from the IBA that you guys hear us talk about a bunch. We wanted to have them on, and we mentioned it one time to Noah, and Noah has followed up ever since. So we're really excited to have them on. Before we get to that, though, we have one announcement, and that is the biggest announcement in Midwest blacksmithing every year, which is SOFA's Quad State Rundown. So Charlie Hollis was kind enough to send me over a rap sheet. I think that's what they're called. Is that what they're called, Evan? Yep, rap sheet of what's going on. So booklets will arrive in your mailboxes July 21st. I think that is if you've ever been to SOFA. Or to Quad State. I don't think that's just for SOFA members, because we get them every year for all of my employees that attend. So I'm pretty sure that's if you went last year, you will be getting a booklet this year. Registration should be going live on sofablacksmiths.org July 23rd. Sorry, I can't read. sofablacksmiths.org. Whether you're going to SOFA or not, just peruse the site. Become a member of SOFA. Whether, doesn't matter what you want to do. Do what I say. Just go join SOFA. Early event registration is $70. It's $80 at the door. Demonstrations are as follows. John Taylor is doing some traditional joinery. He will be making the Devil's Grill 16 pass-throughs that alternate directions from hole to hole. Forrest Butch Seeley is a bladesmith. He'll be making traditional style knives. The Historic Blacksmith Conservancy? Went to public schools in a very small town, guys. I'm so sorry. They will also be doing some demonstrations with traditional forging. They will be making an English-style gate cresting adapted from the 1928 work by Sam Yellen. Richard Sullivan is gunsmithing. He will continue working on the flintlock rifle that has been building at Quad State for the past several years. Caitlin Morris will be doing hands-on forging. Friday night, there will be a forging competition, and Saturday night, there will be the auction as normal. And then it says, feel free to add anything that I may have left out. Primitive camping. Donate to primitive camping. If you're going to camp, don't try to sneak in. I will say, and I'm sure you guys agree, you've been there past few years as well, Miami County Fairgrounds is some of the best fairgrounds in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Of all of the places where we have these blacksmithing events, they have the power ready. They have the buildings with the infrastructure, obviously from SOFA, and a big part of that is the way that SOFA takes care of the grounds, and they can only do that if people follow the rules.
There's
So
water everywhere, which is really useful.
Oh yeah, they do have water everywhere. There's a lot of spigots, which is something you don't think about until you don't have it. They do have RV hookups. I believe you do have to prepay for those and reserve those. But I know that in the past there have been people that I've talked to that are like, oh, I just kind of snuck in through the back gate, or I, didn't pay for camping or whatever. Don't do that. That's a bad look on you. That's a bad look on whoever you're out there representing. If I go out there and I talk all this stuff about Coal Iron Works and about hanging out with these guys at Kurt's and hanging out with the IBA, and then people find out that I'm not paying to be at the event, that's a poor taste in everybody you're representing. So go out, make sure you do it the right way. And the camping's a lot of fun. I know the IBA, the Brazil nuts, stay out until 2, 3 in the morning, forging every night. Come hang out. Join us. Be respectful, though. This year I think we have to be a little bit more strict on who we let in and some of the goings-ons, because we were the only thing going on last year, though, because of the rain. So I think that had a little bit to do with it. But that's your SOFA announcement. Come out, have a good time. I think you can show up as early as Tuesday.
That's what we typically do.
Yeah, we usually come out Tuesday. I think you show up as early as Tuesday. The real event kind of starts with the tailgating on Thursday, and then all of the demonstrations and auctions and forging events and all the stuff like that is Friday through Sunday morning, and then we all pack up around noon and get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah, it's definitely our favorite event of the year.
Yeah. It's a little bit different feel than Abana. And Abana's every 2 years, I know, so it's not apples to apples. It's a little bit apples to oranges. But it I won't say it blows Abana out of the water, but I mean, people have been coming and going, and you talk to guys who've been coming for 40 years, 50 years. So, and people come from California. They come from last year. I met a young man from, I believe, Brazil.
Yeah.
Hanon?
Yeah. Yeah. He was with you guys, wasn't he? Yeah. Or it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Hanon's back in Brazil now.
Yeah. So, it's not just a local kind of event. If you've never heard of it, it is worth your while to plan a quick mini vacation out to come experience it. So also the last place where tools are cheap, like actual tailgating goes on where guys are getting rid of stuff they don't use, not stuff they found 3 months ago at a barn sale and think it's worth money. It's guys who want to, get an anvil or a hammer to Noah for a little bit cheaper because he's just starting out. Corbin and Noah last year didn't hit as well as they could have because of the weather, but I know at Abana they cleaned up. At Sofa a couple years ago, Corbin definitely cleaned up. And Corbin's going to be out there with us this year in our booth. So if you want to meet Corbin and give him a hard time in person instead of just on the internet, you will be able to do so, and he's not allowed to leave. So he will be at our booth working, and I will make him sit and listen to all the things you have to say about him. So moving on. Evan, is there anything I need to say about not Sofa? Nope. All right. Check out the Josh Prince class. Check out the Cole minis. We talk about them kind of at nauseum a lot. So I'm not going to spend too much time on them, but check those out. You can get involved in the school. We do an IBA meeting the last Saturday of every month, and you can schedule your own classes. Oh, also making it stick. Yeah, that's another one coming up. So, all right, Noah.
Yeah?
How was your morning?
It was pretty good. We went to the flea market this morning. I got a butterfly knife, which I'm pretty excited about because it has brass handles, which is really cool. And then we had some breakfast from the gas station, which is they make really good biscuits and gravy for some reason.
Which gas station?
Casey's.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Cool. So we're gonna jump into we're gonna talk about what got you into blacksmithing. We're gonna talk about what you've learned. Some of your achievements so far that you've already got on your bucket list. We're gonna talk to your dad a little bit about his involvement because him and Kyle kind of have different approach styles. You're a little bit younger than Corbin as well, so the involvement it's kind of necessary for him to be a little bit more involved with hot steel when you're 7 and 8 years old getting into blacksmithing. So, but just to give kind of a little bit of insight from the other side of the aisle where I think Kevin takes a lot more active approach and got involved with you. So first question to start us out. How the heck did you find out you wanted to be a blacksmith?
Forged in Fire. I was like, I want to make knives, which is how a lot of kids get into blacksmithing first.
It's how a lot of old men get into blacksmithing too. So,
and then you realize that there's a lot more than just putting a wedge on a handle, which is basically what a knife is. But there's it is, and great grandfather was a blacksmith.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my great grandfather.
So he restored turn of the century tractors, and you can't buy parts for those, so you have to make them. So he got into blacksmithing so that he could make parts for his tractors.
And that's what got you into it, is kind of the idea of like, I want to make knives. Okay, this is a little bit more complicated. There are some more complicated aspects for knives, and that intrigued you.
Yeah.
What was it about that complexity that was like intriguing to you? Because you don't get a lot of, because you started when you were 8, right?
Yeah.
So when you're 8 years old, you were like, this is kind of challenging. I want to do it. That's not something that a lot of 8-year-olds decide. A lot of 8-year-olds, throw controllers through TVs because they didn't win at Fortnite, or, they struck out in baseball, so they go to the dugout and cry. What about the intricacy and the technical difficulties that you faced made you want to persist?
I can't remember.
Okay, that's fair.
So I can add something to that. He's always liked to do things with his hands, right? Lego bricks and taking things apart, whatever.
Rubik's Cubes.
He definitely, when he has something in his hands, when he's doing something physical, I think all the noise gets turned off in his brain.
Okay.
And things get a lot more clear for him. And so I think that that's something that with the blacksmithing, he was able to find like a really peaceful state of mind by doing something difficult.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we talk about with first responders and veterans and stuff like that, where things get a little loud and there's so much going on that when you have something to focus on and it's challenging, you're using muscle memory, you're using synapses for problem solving, you're using geometry, you're using all these different things. So it kind of focuses all that to where you can't use like secondary thought process outside of what you're focusing on. Do you feel like that still rings true? Mm-hmm. So you brought up Rubik's Cubes. A little known fact that we don't talk about enough is you may be the top 5 smartest people I know, and you're easily going to move into the smartest person I know by the time you're 18. Is that something that you think about? I don't know how to word this. Is that something that when you approach a project, is it approaching it with what's going to be fun, or is it approaching it with what's going to challenge me and what's going to grow me to the next level because you're actively pursuing some kind of goal or skill set?
Well, sometimes I want to just do the thing. Sometimes it'll be fun. Sometimes I need to do it. Like we're making a chair in blacksmithing class right now, and Dan told me do an upset, and I don't like doing upsets on the end of bars, but Dan told me to do it, and he's the boss of the chair project, so I did it. But sometimes after I make my upsets, I'll do a bottle opener or a leaf, or I'm currently working on and off on a sword because it's fun.
Why not? Why wouldn't you make a sword?
Like, I'm not going to use it for anything, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
You can tell your friends in middle school, I made a sword.
Yeah. And it, with your skill level, will rival what grown men are doing. So, anybody can go make a sword by wrapping a couple twigs around a piece of steel, right? Technically, on paper, that's a sword. But the fact that between your ability level and all the guys supporting you and your dad's guidance, you're going to make a sword that will rival what most people post on their Instagram as like their piece de resistance.
And the only reason I can do that is because we're really lucky. We're really, really fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to Atlanta, and Kurt met Dad at a bar and they were just friends. And then we got into blacksmithing because Kurt is 2 minutes down the road. Mm-hmm. If you're good at throwing rocks, it's 3 rock throws. That's what you always say.
I always say.
So your dad met Kurt. Is that like, was Kurt like, oh, I do blacksmithing classes, bring him over, have him out, or was it more just like, hey?
Yeah, it was just casual at first. There used to be a little pub where you could get dinner and a couple beers or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then I met Kurt in there, and just through talking, he's a friendly guy.
Kurt, no.
We had talked about blacksmithing. It's what he did. I fix cars, he blacksmiths.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And then Noah started asking about blacksmithing, and I mentioned it to Kurt, and he said, well, we're not really doing anything real beginner right now, but, we'll have something coming up in the next couple months. I'll let you know. And so, a few weeks went by, and he said, hey, we're doing an easy class. Bring your boy. Mm-hmm. Okay, no problem. So I brought Noah, and you've talked to Kurt before, but at the end of the class, he goes, that boy's here every week from now on.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So that's how it started. I told Noah, hey, I'll meet you at your level of investment on this.
Sure.
And so after about 6 months of attending class, I said, all right, he's serious. Mm-hmm. Set up a little forge at home and bought his first anvil. And fast forward 4 years, my 4-car shop is now a 2-bay blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
So
when I first met Kurt, I was very young. He might have been doing classes, but I didn't know anything about it. So as I got reconnected to him when I moved back to Indiana, I was like, Kurt, when did you start doing classes? And I just keep showing up. And he makes it sound like he's so begrudging to do it. He's like, I needed to pay a bill, so I did a couple classes, and they just kept coming, kept putting money in the coffee jar. It's like, why don't you tell them to leave? He's like, oh, they're having a good time.
I think he's having a good time too.
He loves it. He loves it. I don't think we would have the community that we have without Kurt, for one. I think that's pretty easy to point out. But I also think that Kurt's life is very enriched by having guys like you and Dan and Paul and some of his apprentices have become confidants and best friends and people that he can trust. So
Paul's there every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Rain or shine.
Pretty
After
much.
working a 10, 12-hour day in mind-numbing computers, so Kurt's is tonight. We're recording this on a night that's tonight. Depending on if I'm working in the shop and I'm moving stuff and I'm already active, Kurt's is a no-brainer. It's like, yep, I'm going. If I have to sit on the computer and I'm tracking down like, oh, why isn't this bill paid yet? Where, like right now I'm fighting with FedEx. If I have to spend 2 or 3 hours on the computer with FedEx, I don't have the mental capacity to go to Kurt's. But Paul does that all day and goes. And so maybe his reprieve is a little bit different than mine. Mine's a dark room staring at a ceiling fan. But so what was the, you start going to Kurt's, right? Start kind of entry level classes. Were you immediately really proud of what you were doing, or was there a kind of a glow up to that where it's like, okay, now I kind of have confidence?
At first it was me in the shop, and I was just kind of hitting things with a tiny rounding hammer, and then Dad would do the entire, like I would hit along the edge of something, and then Dad would clean it up and bring it all down. It was mainly me just being in the shop, seeing what people were doing and trying to copy it.
Yeah.
At first. And the first thing that I can really remember being proud of was we made Russian roses. And I did more than half of the work on that project, and that was a lot for me, and I was really proud. Like, I did that. I got through that.
Yeah. So what did that do for your next few projects? Once you got that confidence where you're like, oh man, I did that. What were your next few projects like? Were they easier?
Well, projects were really hard until Kurt made me a hammer. And then, because I was using a little hardware store hammer that was too heavy for me and had varnish all over the handle, and it was hard to forge right because I didn't have the right hammer. And then Kurt was like, get this equipment, here's this hammer, and then everything kind of just spiraled into better blacksmithing.
So do you feel like, obviously there's a skill set in blacksmithing.
Yes.
Nobody's going to ignore that. Do you feel like taking the time to make sure that you have the proper tools is important in blacksmithing?
Well, if you don't have the proper tools, you can't do everything right, but you can still get the things done. Having proper tools makes it easier, but not having proper tools doesn't make it impossible.
God, I love how insightful and smart you are. That's kind of every time we've done a project that I've been involved with at Kurt's, which is 2 or 3 now. I'm not saying I'm a veteran or a super expert in what goes on, but if you're going to do it once, just do it, get it out of the way. If you have to repeat it a couple times, make a freaking tool. If you've got to do it 1,000 times, make a really nice tool.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of stages of, I designed this gate, I want to be able to do this, I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, are you going to make 10 of that gate, or are you going to make 1? Just suck it up and do it if you're only making 1. But if you're making 10 or 15 of them and it's very repeatable, you should probably make yourself a tool.
For Abana, the scrolls, we made, I think, 6 scroll jigs before we were happy with the one that we had, so that they would be exactly what we needed, which is because everybody had to make 4 of them for their grate, and we had maybe 16 people in the class. So there were so many scrolls that needed to be made that we had to make a jig for it because it would be impossible to make them all the same.
Yeah. You said that's 4 Everybody had to make 4 scrolls, and there were 16 people.
Yeah, I think there were 4 scrolls, and each one had a different finish. I think there was a small pennyfoot, a large pennyfoot, a fishtail, and a safety scroll.
Which one was the hardest?
Pennyfoots.
Really?
Pennyfoots are really hard.
I don't think I've ever done one.
I think it's like you have to roll it up, and then you have to forge weld it, and then you have to roll it again, and then you have to forge weld it, and then you have to bring it into a ball, and then you have to bend it around, and as you're bending it around, you have to make sure that you're not messing up your pennyfoot. It's tedious.
So it's a lot of little tinkering more than just heavy forging.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the only person under the, well, I guess you can count Corbin, but you're the only person under the age of like 30 that I've ever known that has operated a steam hammer with full confidence.
Well, I didn't operate the steam hammer. I held blocks for the steam hammer.
The steam hammer is a multiple person operation, bud. You get to take part in that operation. You operated the steam hammer.
Okay.
So, do you find that smaller work is more rewarding to you because it's a little bit more finite? You can put a little bit more detail in it, or are you like Corbin and Kurt, where the bigger stuff, the bigger the smash, the more power, you enjoy that?
I learned from Kurt, and I don't really want it to be perfect form. I want it to do what it needs to do. Like with my hammers, I don't really care what they look like that much. I just care that they work.
Right.
Like, I really liked the look of the handle that was in my hammer, but it wasn't working right, so I ripped it out.
Yeah.
And I put in a nicer handle, and now my hammer works better.
So you're more worried about like weight distribution, balance, cheek contact. If your troughs are a little bit wonky, that's okay as long as it still swings straight.
Yeah, like if there's a mess up in the eye of the hammer and it's twisted, I don't care. I can fix it in the handle.
Sure.
So that as long as it hits straight and it's not messing anything up in the shop, if it works, it works.
Yeah, that's a good outlet to have. Would you say that's your favorite way to forge, is just get it complete and then figure out not what it's going to be used for, but okay, so this is done. What can I do better next time, and what do I have to do to make this tool more usable?
I don't like doing things with too much form. Like, I'll put a few twists in a fire poker, and I'll make sure that the bend on the end is elegant, and I'll make sure that the handle feels comfortable. But if it works, then I'm happy with it. I love forging to how it needs to do. If there is so much tiny little tedious details to make it look good, I don't enjoy the forging anymore.
So what you're referring to function over form.
Yeah.
Right. And what you're going through with the chair right now, there's clearly a function. Yeah. Can I sit in it? Can it hold my weight? It's going to end up being about a 300-pound chair. It should clearly hold a 250-pound man. That's our function, right?
Yeah.
Are you still enjoying the forging on the chair, even though there is a lot of form to it?
Yeah, there are parts, like the scroll on the ends. Like, there are 4 scrolls in the chair. There's like 2 scrolls going out, and then there's 2 scrolls growing out on the end. And I had to forge one of them. I loved doing the taper down and making it the right shape. I hated doing the scrolls.
Yeah.
I don't understand how the metal moves in a scroll. I don't understand why I hit here, but it bends here.
Yeah.
Like and I could make a pretty scroll. I can't repeat a pretty scroll.
So you can make 5 scrolls. They all look good on their own, but when you set them next to each other, they're not identical. They're not mirrored. They're not.
Yeah, like there was the scroll that we were going off of, and I was trying everything to match it. I just couldn't. And then even Dad was having trouble with them, which is rare.
Because he's a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because he's got such great examples of really clean forging. If you've seen Dan Borowski's work, everything he does is just slick off the hand.
Yeah.
Peter Brasvenix is the same way.
Yep.
And then he gets to see guys like Nate Weiss, who yeah, Nate does spend a lot of time on a file bench, but his work's always super clean
Almost
too.
machined look. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Noah is definitely still at that stage of his development where it's more utilitarian than it is refined.
Yeah.
And he's working towards that refinement, but I can definitely see him getting frustrated sometimes, not being able to produce the results he wants.
Well, what's funny is while you said you don't enjoy doing the scrolls and the stuff like that, there are a lot of examples that I've seen of stuff that you've done that is the finer detail work. Because you were the smaller guy that couldn't swing the big sledgehammer, that couldn't, you couldn't be a striker and be super effective. Now, my hammer that you made with Corbin has become my main hammer, and I love it. But the troughs are a little bit shallow because you weigh 5 pounds, right? You weigh as much as the hammer. But it has that got any part of it where you were just kind of pushed into making some of the more delicate, refined work, because you have such a good eye for detail, and I've seen you walk up to grown men and say, "That's not right, start again." But you don't enjoy that?
I don't enjoy doing it. I don't enjoy the process. I do enjoy the product.
Okay.
Like, if on the next big project that I want to do to put in a gallery is I want to make a functional Rubik's Cube out of steel, which I've done a lot of research, has never been done before other than on a laser cutter
Okay.
with stainless. And I want to forge one. But making the first corner piece, edge piece, and making the core, there will be so much file work. I am not excited to do it.
I thought you loved file work. Every time I see you, you ask me if I have a file.
I kind of like file work.
Yeah, I thought so.
But there will be so much file work that it will just be in a stupor at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I will make the first piece, and then I'll have to make, how many corners are there? There are 8 corners, so I'll have to make 7 others, and then I'll have to file them, and then I'll have to polish them to make sure that they don't do a ton of friction, and then on the edges, there's like 3 different little bits that stick out, and then I'll have to like put sandpaper in the tiny little gaps. There will be so much filing and so much sanding.
So you want to
that it
make a
won't be fun.
functional Rubik's Cube out of steel.
Yes.
Have you taken apart any Rubik's Cubes to see how their internals work? Are you going to forge the internals?
I have taken apart every single Rubik's Cube in my collection multiple times. Except for this, there's this one 7x7 I can't figure out how to take apart, which is lucky because I tried to put together a 6x6 and then I left it out and then the dogs stepped on it and that made me sad.
What's the biggest Rubik's Cube you've ever solved?
A 7x7.
7x7. That's
Which
pretty rough.
yes, it was because it was not I solved speed cubes, so they're a different shape than the normal Rubik's Cubes, and you put lubricants in them, and they're a different type of plastic. So I can solve a Rubik's Cube in, like a Rubik's brand, in 50 seconds, but I can solve my main speed cube in 25.
So we can possibly get Logan into Rubik's Cubes by just referring to them as tactical Rubik's Cubes. That's my goal for you this year. So every time you talk to Logan, just drop, I was working on my tactical Rubik's Cube, and see if we can get him into Rubik's
It's my
Cubes.
EDC.
Yeah, it's my EDC. No big deal. This one goes with me everywhere.
They do.
Yeah.
My 2x2 and my 3x3 literally everywhere with me.
Yeah.
If my pants pockets won't hold a Rubik's Cube, I'm sad.
I got a picture of you from Kurt the other day that you were wearing shorts and tennis shoes, and I didn't recognize you. Like, I was like, that kind of looks like Noah. Who is that? And he was like, that's Noah. He had school today. And I was like, oh, he doesn't just wear bibs and boots?
On career days, I will wear bibs and boots to school, and people are like, what is that? And then I'll get to talking. Like in elementary school, we did career days, and we would bring in a few things, and I would bring in like a suitcase of things that I had made. I would have 2 backpacks.
Yeah.
One for the things that I had made that I was allowed to bring to school. Like, I wanted to bring my hammer to school, but I wasn't allowed to, which made me sad.
It's a weird.
You're not allowed to have plastic knives at lunch at this point. So,
I get it. Kids are crazy.
but people were so impressed by like a leaf. And a lot of blacksmiths that I hang around with think a leaf is just like a really basic thing. Like we do it every day. It's our warm-up project. But people were so incredibly impressed by the leaf that when I showed them the Russian rose, like they didn't have any more impressed.
Yeah.
And that astounded me because I just think of it as it's just hitting things with a hammer a few times. But a lot of people don't have that three-dimensional shape building program in their brain.
Yeah, that's actually a fair point that I think a lot of people see. Okay, well, that's a leaf, that's a rose. He started out with a leaf-shaped something and tinkered, and that rose-shaped something and tinkered, and
then I showed them the bar that I had started
Right.
with, and it was just a half-inch square bar, and they were like,
you start showing them the parent stock, and you start showing them, well, over here I had to go over the horn, and over here I actually had to take it over to work over the pritchett or whatever. And especially at your age, they're more impressed with the knowledge that comes from it and the dedication than they are the actual product. You know, that's what we get a lot of times when we go to shows for the school and stuff is people are way more impressed that people still blacksmith than they care about whatever's on the table. You know, it's like, oh, people still do that? Well, my grandpa had an anvil. Great. Go grab it. Take a couple classes. Blow some steam off. Oh, I didn't know. I don't know. You know, it's like they're way more impressed that it's still out there than whatever you're actually making.
yeah,
Oh, you're just big yawn. Okay.
I'm tired.
So what are you, all that excitement got you tuckered out.
Yeah.
What are some of the accomplishments that you're most proud of, whether it's a project or recognition or?
Well, there's three things. Rookie of the Year is the best achievement, my favorite achievement that I've ever gotten. The community hammer that I did at Sofa last year, it is exactly what I want from a hammer. It's the perfect shape, and there are so many touch marks on it. I think I counted there's 17. And every single person on there I would consider a close friend. So that's one of my favorite things. The community hammer projects that I've started are incredible to me. And then my origami crane mobile, I really like that.
How many cranes did you make? Do you have a number?
60?
60. How many ended up on the mobile?
8.
8.
And I didn't like 7 of them.
Yeah. That goes to show you like just the absolute dedication. And this was your idea, right? Your dad didn't come to you and say, "Hey, we're going to do this." You went to your dad and said, "I'm going to do this."
Is there a picture of that online somewhere?
There is.
Where can I find it?
Somewhere. I don't know. We're not going to find it quick.
Okay.
We can edit it in later if you want to.
Yeah, we can do a layover on that. Oh, wow, everybody look how beautiful that origami crane. And I've seen this with you. You made me a spoon, bottle opener, multi-tool thing.
Oh, yeah, the spoon, bottle opener, can opener, knife.
Thing. Yeah, it was just like whatever you want it to be, it is. And I had it in my hand for 6 minutes. And you had already taken it. Oh, I want to do this, and I want to change this, and I want to do that, and I want to do whatever. And it was in and out of my possession like 4 times that weekend. And I still have it. And then at an IBA meeting, you saw it on my desk, and you were like, "Oh, I still need to finish that." And it's like, this was just for you to pass the time between lunch and whatever the next demonstration was. And you still have that eye to detail. That's why it surprises me when you say that you don't like the small details and stuff. And I think what I'm starting to realize is that you don't like the small details because they drive you crazy and you keep chasing them. So you like bigger projects that are forged to function, because once they achieve their function, you can write it off and say, okay, now I'm done. Where with form, you constantly find ways you can do better.
And Dad has this blacksmith's knife. Dad is more of a perfectionist than me, and he has this one blacksmith's knife with 2 errant hammer blows. He can't look at it. because it drives him insane.
Yeah. I'm in that field as well, where once I get done with something, it's like, okay, does it do the thing? It does the thing. I never want to see it again. There are people that have hammers from me, people that have, whatever, hand tools, punches, whatever, that if I were to walk through their shop and look at them, I'd be like, who made this? God, brother, let me make you a hammer. Francis, that is your hammer. It's like, oh, I'll never tell anybody that, and it's the same reason. That's why I think you're exposing things about myself I didn't know. I think that's why I like forging to function as well, because the form and the small details, they'll drive you crazy. When you're doing an origami project like that, or the scrolls that you were talking about, at what point do you just say good enough is good enough? Because you've signed off, you've presented these things in the past, you have come to a finishing point. What is that finishing point for you, even if that project's driving you crazy?
I never said good enough is good enough on those cranes. If I could, I would go back and I would make a ton of paper cranes before I did the origami cranes. Also, I would get skin-tight gloves. The amount of cuts that you get on your finger from 0.2 millimeter wet copper is amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing how many cuts you get.
Oh, okay.
Like, I still have cuts on my hand from the copper cranes that I did a year and a half ago. Because there were just so many of them.
It was funny. So he came to me midwinter and said, Dad, do you think we can do this? I was like, I have no idea, man. Let's find out, And so I ordered some sheet copper. And he's not exaggerating. We cut.
Oh, you showed me a picture of the pile.
Yeah. I mean, and so it was funny because, it took him weeks to do it all. But there'd be origami cranes in various states of construction that he had decided, hey, this one's a failure, and time to move on from it, whatever. And then we ended up with, a good 20 that he actually finished, and then he chose from them. But yeah, he was definitely, well, maybe I have time to make a few more, whatever. I'm like, buddy, the conference is in a couple days.
So he still needs some oversight in that area where it's like, okay, this is done, buddy. Let's move on. Let's
absolutely
go to the next place.
And so he displayed that at the IBA conference last year when he won his Rookie of the Year award. And then he also won first place in the Quad State Gallery with that mobile. So,
is this your water, Francis?
This is your water, brother.
Oh.
So while you're taking a drink, I did specifically want to talk about Rookie Blacksmith of the Year. Because that's an award that can go from somebody that's 12 or 13 all the way up to 35 that had never done it before. All it takes is getting nominated by somebody in your community. Do you know who nominated you?
Kurt.
Kurt nominated you? Do you know why he nominated you?
Well, I actually don't know who nominated me. I know who nominated me in 2023. Kurt nominated me in 2023. I don't know who nominated me in 2024. But I think Kurt nominated me because he saw my work ethic and he saw the way that I forged, and I think he saw something in my forging that I didn't see, and he was like, this is special.
Yeah.
He saw the way that I forged and the way that I worked and the way that I conducted myself. And he knew that it was different from most kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't just a summer camp thing for you. It was sought after, and you were willing to put the work in. You were willing to not only put the work in, but you don't wait for instruction. You jump in.
Which is a real problem in school.
Yeah, that's
They'll
fair.
hand me the test and they'll be halfway through explaining a question, and I'll have already figured out the question and done the rest of the test.
Yeah.
Well, and
Because
also,
I just jump in immediately.
also your involvement in the community, helping people learn, helping teach those classes. I mean, that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. And coming to IBA meetings, coming to the Andy Davis Hammer-In that we do every year, there's not a couple hours that go by. Hey, well, it used to be Mr. Francis. I know we're friends now because you don't call me Mr. Francis anymore, but hey, Mr. Francis, is there anything you need? Can I do anything? Hey.
Find the work, do the work, as Kurt says.
You know, you come run over to me. Hey, Chuck wants to know if we can have more 1045 or whatever. And it's, yeah, buddy, let's go get it. You know, so your commitment to your own growth, coupled with being committed to other people's growth and your willingness to be part of the greater atmosphere, I think is probably why you were nominated. And if I remember correctly, I think you were nominated a lot more than by just one person in 2024.
I think there were maybe 3 people nominated because so many groups, I think, nominated. I think there were 2 groups who had nominated one candidate, a group who nominated this guy, and then a lot of groups who nominated me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know that I was in. And
I know. We could tell by your reaction.
And I just said, and Dad would tell me, hey, there's a blacksmithing event. Do you want to go? And I said, yes. Before he even finished his sentence. Yes, I want to go. And a lot of the school clubs are on Thursdays or on weekends, and I just don't join.
Yeah.
Because blacksmithing is more important to me.
What are some of the things that you would join if you weren't blacksmithing? See, it's not even important. You can't even think about it. It's that low level of importance to you.
Well, we have this soils club, which I tried to join for a while, and then I quit because one day we went to a sheep farm, and I was allergic to something there.
Oh.
And my eyes were all puffed up, and my nose was so runny, I couldn't even do the soil thing. I might join. I would join 4-H.
Yeah. It's shocking that blacksmithing has no place in 4-H.
And I didn't know. So the fair's on just north of us this week, and I was going to go up there on Friday and try to talk to somebody and see, hey, is this a thing?
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Is 4-H just an Indiana thing, or is it national?
I'm not sure at all.
Evan, do you know?
No, but I can find out.
Yeah, find out if that's national. Because the more that I get into different conferences and conventions and the different places we can go to the reptile show, the gun and knife show, all these places.
What
It's
about
like
reptiles? Where's the reptile show?
there's a big one in Indy. It's like the 3rd largest in the world or something like that.
Oh, I need to go.
Yeah. Listen to the last podcast. I don't like snake people. Snakes are fine. Snake
like
people freak me
snakes.
out. Oh, okay.
I like geckos.
Oh, that's fine. That's adorable, actually.
It is nationwide, yes.
Okay. So, but it always blows my mind that, you've got little kids out here learning how to sew. You've got little kids learning how to do a vegetable platter. They raise hogs. I know I have meat in my freezer from a 4-H winning hog. You have all this stuff, and there's no blacksmithing. There's no machining. There's no... Isn't 4-H, isn't the goal of it to provide skills and tools for kids to use in their adult life? Like, why?
I would think so.
Yeah. Why is there not a small block Chevy in the 4-H?
Blacksmithing, leatherworking. I'm pretty sure there's leatherworking, and I'm pretty sure there's woodworking.
Well, and I wonder too if it's not that it doesn't have a place, but how many kids that are 4-H aged are blacksmithing?
Right.
So maybe that's...
Or how many... Because you have to have a volunteer that leads that section and does the accreditation and all that fun stuff. And it's like, at that point, what blacksmith do you know has time to do that? Because if it's a hobbyist, he has a full-time job and then does it for fun. And then if it's a full-time blacksmith, they're working until 1 a.m. to pay their bills because there's not a crazy ton of money in it, So maybe that is something we can look into and get the ball rolling on some 4-H accredited bottle openers. You could be the ringleader.
Okay.
All right. Well, before we move on to asking your dad a couple questions and getting you guys out of here, what would you say to your friends or people that you hang out with that are interested in blacksmithing but aren't as passionate about you, right? Somebody that's like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I want to tinker around. How would you get them more involved in the blacksmithing community?
Shop's open anytime. Kurt has classes on Thursday.
So just a general blanket invitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like our shop is literally always open. I will come home and either I will be really tired and I won't go out to the shop, which is most nights because school's hard. Not mainly the work at school, but the people at school are...
Well, you're a lot more mature than most of the kids you're going to class with, and I can see that being...
It's different from hanging out at a blacksmithing convention.
Yeah.
And either I will go home and play video games and hang out with the dogs and watch TV, or I will go home and I will forge. And if I go home and I forge, nowadays Dad will text Paul and say, "Hey, Paul, we're forging. You want to come over?" And Paul will usually come over, have dinner with us. And we'll be out there till 10 or 9:30 on school nights, because if we stay out any later, Mom will get angry. Or angrier than she already is. Classes hurt.
But yeah, I mean, he's serious about that. You know, he's always willing to help. He's always willing to instruct, even if he's not forging. If somebody's over, you know, like my brothers will be over, or, you know, we'll have family friends over. I wonder what it'd be like to blacksmith. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Light a
I
fire.
taught a class at Christmas. My grandpa, Bob, my Uncle Adam, and my Uncle Brian all have keychains on their key rings that they made that I taught them how to make in the shop.
Cool. So getting anybody in, like, the moment somebody says, "Hey, this kind of be cool," it's like, all right, I lit a fire. Are you on the way over or not? You know, making sure that you catch them while their spark is hot.
Like my used to be friend Reed came over to me in social studies and was like, "Hey, I heard you blacksmith. I think that would be cool. How do I get into it?" And I was like, when are you not busy?
Yeah, my house, Tuesday, 5 p.m.
I think it was, it's football. So it was Wednesdays it was 5.
It's a common time.
And we would do, I think we started him with an S-hook. No, we started him with just a taper. And then we did S-hooks, then we did leaves, and then he stopped coming. Because I was super busy. It was September. It was late August when we started him. And then in September, we were just busy the entire time, and then we just stopped talking because he was friends with some people that I am not friends with.
Sure.
Fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That happens. And you'll have that as an adult too. You'll have to make those decisions. So, well, all right. Last question for you. What is one bit of advice that you would give to adults trying to get more of the younger crowd involved that are passionate about teaching youth and getting them to events? What is the advice that you would give to an adult?
Don't treat them like kids. Don't treat them like adults, but also don't treat them like kids. Because every single kid that I have ever been friends with hates when they are underestimated. Don't underestimate them. Don't overestimate them, but do not underestimate them. Go neutral.
Meet them where they're at.
Yes.
Right? Establish a rapport with them before you go in and you know, baby talk them. "Hey, slugger, what's going on today?" It's like, evaluate the situation.
Yeah, because if like when I'm telling stories about my blacksmithing, like I'll talk to teachers about it, and they'll just be like,
That's cute.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to talk to you about that anymore.
Yeah, you've lost confidence in them. And if you're in a situation where you're teaching a young man or a young lady how to do something and you're talking down to them and they lose confidence in you, well, you just lost your entire role. Your purpose in that relationship is gone.
Yeah, like when someone talks down to me, like we've had a few people in blacksmithing class who have talked down to me, and I just don't spend any time around them. I purposefully stay away from them. If you're
Well, to be fair,
teach
I
someone-
watched you walk over to Hayden and tell him that's wrong, throw it away and start again, and then just walk away.
Well, yeah, because we're friends.
Oh, okay.
We're close friends. And he trusts me on a different level than blacksmithing as well.
Okay.
And I am allowed to, by the rules that are subconsciously established by each other, I'm allowed to say, hey, that's not right. I don't know how to fix it. Ask Paul, ask Dan. Then if neither of them know, ask Kurt. And then if Kurt doesn't know, throw it away. Do it again.
Yeah. So you're essentially saying that you're allowed to be a little bit harder on Hayden because you've established a rapport and you have an expectation for him.
And the thing is, my favorite thing at blacksmithing events is when people will come over into our group and then I will try to give advice, but it's unwanted, so then it's criticism, and I'm working really hard to stop doing that.
Working on being more positive, right?
Positivity is hard.
I think that's normal at your age, though. Like, you are a fantastic blacksmith by all accounts. But I think a lot of times something that I do specifically is I forget you're still navigating life. You're still figuring out how to have social interactions in a positive way. You're still figuring out how to,
Read the room.
read the room. I've known Kurt since I was 8 years old, and he's like a grandpa to me at this point, and I can joke around with him, and I can get a few swear words by with him, compared with maybe hanging out with Gary is not the same. It's a little bit more formal, right?
Gary is, for what he does, he is very formal.
Yes.
Like, everybody that I know who has worked on tractors is not very formal. They live in the country. They are just rough and tumble.
Yeah, no shirt and shoes required. So
Most of the time.
You're at an age where it's very easy to understand, well, I have this man of this age that I interact with that I get to slip some swear words by and I get to be a little bit rougher around. And then there's this other guy who's kind of new and just showed up, and not that Gary's new and just showed up or anything, just for this example.
Brian,
right? Brian, that's a great example. You don't have enough social interaction to have the immediate instinct of, this is how I'm going to interact with them. And so sometimes I watch you interacting with people and I'm like, whoa. You're a kid, and kids are allowed to make mistakes. In fact, I think there's a lot of scenarios where we should almost require kids to make mistakes. We should encourage them to make mistakes. Hey, how do I do this? I'm not going to tell you. I want you to screw it up so you know how to fix it, right? It goes back to me and Nathan talking about we're gaining all of this knowledge as a society, but we're losing all of our logic. And it's because we never have to question whether we're right or wrong. We don't have an opinion until we can Google it and we have the facts in front of us. And that's not fair to kids. So it is kind of nice to be able to watch you go through some of those things. And I don't have kids myself, but be able to kind of watch you go through some of those things and learn some of those interactions. And like I said, I think that's just part of being a kid is understanding boundaries and interaction and being positive and, controlling emotions at times. And, the first time you came out and broke one of our machines, you were really upset about it. The last time you broke a machine, you didn't even tell me. So
because I come here and break machines so often. English is hard.
So often?
Often, yes. That like it's surprising to me when I come out and I don't break a machine.
Yeah, it's almost expected.
Like, I've got magic machine breaking potentials.
All right. Well, so that we don't take up your guys' entire day, we'll move on. And I've just got a couple questions for you, Kevin. What is your experience been like as somebody who's got a very young entry level to blacksmithing, right? Most kids don't start out at 8. They start, I started when I was 18. Nathan started, I think he was 12 or 13. And even Nathan was pretty young for it. You got Larson and Ling, and those guys started out, 12, 13, 14, and that's very young. What's your experience been like taking such a young person in and saying, oh, no, I'm not the blacksmith. He is.
Yeah, so it's been really cool. One of the most valuable things for me for the blacksmithing, specifically for him, is I want him to fail in a controlled environment, right? Like, so many kids get out into the workforce these days and they've never had any adversity. They've never had any struggles or challenges. And I've watched him, like he said, from, two-handed swinging a hammer, just tapping on stuff to, I send him on his way and he goes out and forges like a grown-up.
Yeah.
He's limited in horsepower, but as far as experience and knowledge goes, he's got a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's been really cool for me. I've enjoyed watching him grow the confidence and the skills and, overcoming, his work ethic's out of control, he'll put his head
It'll
down
wear
and
you
just
out
get the
quick.
job done. Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's something that you can't achieve that without presenting those opportunities.
Yeah.
And so, I presented the opportunities, but he did the work.
Yeah.
And that's been really rewarding for me because whatever he does in the rest of his life, whether it's, practicing for the band concert or, doing his household chores or, whatever, that work ethic benefits him in all aspects.
Yeah. Have you found, because you also do blacksmithing, that's kind of the big split off, I think. Kyle has a very similar method or path to that where he's like, yeah, I'll take you out, I'll let you do it, whatever. Do you feel like if Noah had been 15 or 16 when he wanted to get into blacksmithing, you would have a little bit more of approach of Kyle of, okay, I'll take you and I'll hang out with all the other guys. But you've gotten very into blacksmithing and have projects that you're working on yourself. You're very involved in the chair project and in the gate project. Is that because you wanted to pick up on the craft to be able to offer more guidance, or is blacksmithing something that was like, all right, this kid's onto something. This is pretty cool.
Well, so it started out as when he's a little kid, right? He's daddy's little buddy.
Yeah.
And then, we kind of drifted apart, as parents and children do. It kind of ebbs and flows. But, he wasn't into sports. He wasn't into cars. He wasn't into working on stuff. I wasn't into playing video games or working on Lego blocks, And so the blacksmithing thing was just something he was interested in, and it was something that we could do together. And then because he was so limited in horsepower, being an 8-year-old boy, I had to get more involved.
Yeah.
Kyle can turn Corbin loose, and Corbin gets the job done. Whether
Right.
he gets there gracefully or not, well, that depends on the day.
Well,
But
I don't even know that. The answer's no.
but with him, I had to because it was something that he was passionate about. And so in order to make it accessible for him, I had to get more involved.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. I don't think that I had forged a few times. So my great-grandfather was a blacksmith. I grew up in a blacksmith shop summer times with him.
Yeah.
But in my adult life, I never pursued it. I'd forged a few things through the years, just, hey, I'm in the mood to do a project kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, I would not be nearly as focused on blacksmithing if it wasn't for him. And now we've got a full shop at home. We walk out, flip the lights on, and make whatever we want.
Yeah.
Which is, pretty handy.
That's a neat feeling. Be able to be self-sufficient. What advice would you have to other parents who have kids that want to get involved in blacksmithing?
Find a community. We couldn't, like Noah said, we could not be more fortunate. We have world-class blacksmiths that have opened their arms to us, opened their shop doors to us, invited us all over the country to come forge with them. And it all started with finding Kurt and then finding those people. And I see all the time people will post on like the IBA's website, how do I get my kids started? Find somebody close by.
Right.
And take them there.
It's specifically with the IBA, it's like, yes, to go to meetings, you're supposed to have 2 free meetings and then you're supposed to join the IBA. I have never met a single open forge that really enforces that.
No, not at all.
And it's like, yes, I do believe you should support the things that you're doing and, don't freeload off of people. But if you're genuinely interested or your kid's genuinely interested, it starts with those couple of free meetings. It's like, okay, Abana also has a zip code tracker where you can type in a zip code and it gives you contact information to everybody in your area that's an Abana affiliate.
Yeah, well, and with the IBA, the 2 meetings are IBA meetings. Right, so a monthly hammer-in.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys, Bill Conyers up in South Bend, Steve King down in Paoli, Kurt on Thursdays.
Yep.
Those weekly meetings that they have are not IBA events. They are just, hey, come forge. And I know there's other guys around the state that do it too. You know, those are just 3 quick examples.
Right. Well, and it's like Noah said, it's like, oh, you're interested? I'll be home on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And there's the old joke of like a knife maker will show you what he's working on. A blacksmith wants you to work on something with him.
Yep.
I've never met a blacksmith. They're old and they're curmudgeony and they're angry a lot of times, but they either want the help because they have a project they're working on and they need somebody in the shop with them, or they've been doing it alone for 20 years and they're just kind of lonely and they want somebody to be there to, whether it's to kind of reignite that passion inside them, whether it's somebody's got to take this over when I go, whatever their point of view is on that. These guys want you in their shops, and they want you working, and they want to be able to teach, and they want the opportunity, like you said, and you have to be able to match that opportunity with getting the work done. Is there anybody, we talk a lot about Kurt and Dan and Paul and Rob. Those are kind of the big guys, and Steve. Is there anybody in the IBA that you guys want to give a shout out to that has been influential in what you've been able to accomplish?
Yeah, all those guys. And then, there's way too many people to name, but I'll just give you one kind of brighted example. Same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Noah's first IBA conference. We're in the beginners area because that's where he belonged at that point.
Right.
And, I think he was making leaves or whatever. And a guy I'd never met before walked over and handed him a hammer that he had made. Mm-hmm. Small rounding hammer, that he had made, and said, I see what he's doing. I've seen him around. I want him to have this.
Yeah.
Chuck Henderson. Oh. And we became fast friends.
The woodchuck.
Yep. And that's one example of, while we're talking about getting a kid started and making that difference, there's no trade secrets in blacksmithing. No. Nobody's hiding anything from anybody. We're all here to support each other.
I don't know if Jot's in the IBA, but shout out to Jot.
Yeah, Jot's in the IBA. Yeah. Jot's down in Louisiana. He's the Raging Cajun.
Baby.
So we actually went down there and spent some time in his shop a few weeks ago. And that's just another example, like I said, of, people just open their doors.
Well, and even at Rob's Hammer, and specifically, Shane was asking questions. He wasn't necessarily like, hey, let me guide you in this direction. He was like, hey, Noah, why do you do that like that? Because Shane was working on a big piece of what he thought was S7, and I don't think it was S7 because it was moving pretty easy. But, it was like, why are you doing that, or why are you doing this? And it's like, those interactions are so important to what we do just as humans, and feeling fulfilled and feeling like we're part of something. And I just wanted to make sure I took a second to, if you guys had anybody to acknowledge that you had the opportunity to do that.
You?
I don't do anything. You're fine. You leave me out of it. I'm not compliment fishing. So, to wrap it up, do you guys have anything to plug? Are you launching an online store? Are you guys traveling anywhere to demonstrate?
We have a demonstration at SOFA in August, and my mom will be the other demonstrator.
Mm-hmm. Because your mom does glass blowing?
Lamp working, which is you work on a torch. You don't blow the glass, you sculpt it.
Okay.
And Mom has an Instagram page with posts of the things that we make. My keychains, I'm getting back into making those. I'm working on some at home right now, selling those again.
Yep. So I don't know if you've ever been over for a SOFA monthly meeting.
Couple times, not.
See, and I haven't made it over there yet, but Charlie approached us and asked if Beth and Noah would do the demos for their August meeting. So we'll be running over there. We've actually got a couple hammer-ins we're going to this weekend. We're demoing.
Cool. Shout out to Beth.
Oh, hey.
Yep, there it is. There's that crane.
There's that crane.
Yep. Perfect.
Oh.
That's me with broken fingers.
Yep, that is you with broken fingers. So we're going over this weekend to the Ileana group to demo some striking with their group, and they want some company for that. So we're doing that, and then headed down to Fowler Park, and then headed out to SOFA in August for a big demo, and we, always got something going on.
Yeah. So if you are in the Midwest, you can find these guys at just about any weekend. You're out doing something.
Yep. And if you want to find us, reach out.
Yeah.
We're always available.
Yeah. So cool, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out, hanging out with us. Noah, so much more insightful. Even than I know you, and I still am just every time blown away at how insightful you can be. So thank you. Kevin, thank you for your role in all of this and for being such a good dad. I've been able to experience your parenting outside of blacksmithing on a couple occasions and hear how passionate you are about Noah and about just children in general and about parenting. And thank you very much for who you are as a person.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having us.
All right. All right, guys, listening at home, get involved. become a member of something. I don't care what it is. Forget blacksmithing, glass blowing, basketball league. Find something that makes you proud of yourself and find the work, do the work. Love you guys. Bye.
That was fun.
Cool.